Welcome to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. And today is a special edition, the Mandalorian and Grogu premiere midnight session here in Melbourne, Australia, will be shortly on my eyes, in my ears. So this is just some thoughts just beforehand. I'm expecting a fun and just somewhat serious type of film. And other than that, that is it. Look, any news at the moment besides the whole premiere for Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu is the only real news that's happening at the moment. I will be including some interviews later on from the comment section of my last particular video. And yeah, so that's pretty much the news. That was pretty much my views. So all that has to happen now is get some big time coffee because it's fastly approaching midnight here. And I've just got to keep myself rocking. I've had a nap, and now it's time to check it out. Okay, I'm at the cinema now with my popcorn. Can you believe it? In the extreme screen. Let's go and see The Mandalorian and Grogu. Oh yeah, and I can't remember my Kool-Aid. Well, I've got the goodies. Now, let's get home and give you the review. Okay, so I'm back from watching The Mandalorian and Grogu midnight session here, Melbourne, Australia. I think we get it it's Thursday the 21st of May here. We get it sort of before the rest of the world being 22nd, only because of time zone. But I'm sure we get it probably a couple of hours in advance to the rest of the world, sort of public showings. Anyway, let's get straight into the review. The review will also include what I bought at the actual event. First of all, this is the sipping on the Kool-Aid drink. Beautiful. Look at that. This is, there is going to be some spoilers today. Some spoilerish, not big spoilers, a little bit. And this is sort of pretty much the opening sequence. And that is a 10 out of 10 for a drink cup. Look at that. And then the ultimate, I would say, best popcorn container since the June popcorn container that we never got here in Melbourne, Australia. But that one had a bit more significance for different reasons and explicit reasons. But look at this thing. Look at the size of this. Putting this on your little table in the actual cinema was like, there's a popcorn, there's a little Mando. This is another 10 out of 10. The AT or ATAT, as some people say. And those two get 10 out of 10. Amazing. So now let's get into the review of the movie. Straight off the bat, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. And I mean just scraping through to be 7 out of 10. The story is not a over passionate, epic sort of thing. But the story actually is good because it fits the type of movie it is. It's just a journey of two in the crime syndicates in the galaxy. Obviously, this is set after Return of the Jedi, which is episode 6, and way before The Force Awakens in episode 7. And so it was... So the actual story was good, but it didn't captivate you. The music also didn't really captivate me either. I thought it was okay. It was okay to good. I thought if there's any 2 points that I thought this film lacked a bit, was the techno sort of sounding elements to the soundtrack, or especially I think the main theme song. It just, the choice of sounds, like it was a bit too zappy, zip zappy, the techno-y. It was okay, just not. I just would have chosen something a bit more organic in its techno sounds. I thought some of the voice character choices, especially Rotter the Hutt, which is the nephew or the son of Jabba the Hutt, I think it is. It was too human. A bit, the use of English was a little bit distracting. As obviously we know the Hutts to have their own sort of language. It just, I understand that there's going to be a bit sort of understanding of difference, with generations. But I think the worst part of the voice was that it was not grimy and bassy enough. It didn't have to be bassy to the point of like being, like Satan, but it just needed more grime to the voice. His voice was a bit too sort of medium, if you can understand. And I thought, that's it. So those two areas were the ones that were a bit jarring, but I enjoyed this film. This film was definitely fun, definitely a good story to sort of go on with. You don't get bored of the story. I liked how they used the original Mandalorian logo for the title, and they had then it said Mandalorian, then it popped up and Grogu, which sort of says to me they're doing something unusual with possible connecting stories with this, or maybe just sort of referring that it is really the Mandalorian film with Grogu in it. The audience that I was there with, it was not it's a good cinema, but it's not the biggest one here in Melbourne, Australia. It's probably close to, but it didn't really get much more than probably a quarter full, maybe a third, just on a third, maybe. The type of audience were definitely older people, like older generation people. I'd say the average age would have been 45 and 50. And there was, some people there that were really about the cutesy sort of thing for Grogu. Like you could tell they were sort of, they loved, those type of characters, just perception. And but look, it's definitely an enjoyable experience. 7 out of 10. I'm going to be seeing it again this week, and it definitely is worth seeing again. I don't know how many times it's worth seeing. Like I usually watch Star Wars films all day. This one, it would be a bit of a cut-off period at say 3 or 4 sessions. But whether I get to that, I don't know. But it's definitely repeat watching quality. It definitely has a cinematic look. Even though I'm criticizing the music a little, it still, had a great sound design, and it had some, the music did carry it. It was really, it was what you expect Mandalorian and Grogu to be. No more, no less. Just don't think this is like an episodic film. If you can just lower that to just being, sort of a fun crime syndicate type of adventure in space, you will enjoy it. And yeah, there was, a couple cameos you'll find, especially in an X-wing towards the end of the film. And yeah, that's pretty much my review for Mandalorian and Grogu. I will be giving you another one from the second viewing to see how I'm feeling from that point. But at this stage, 7 out of 10. I don't think it's going to move much from that. For the Mandalorian and Grogu, and I gave 10 out of 10s for the products. The actual merchandise is amazing. Anyway, so now let's get into interviews. Interviews is the questions on my last video, and they are technically talking about the film, which is sort of good. And our favorite, one of our favorites, Michael from Werribee South, he is asking me some questions. Now, Ludwig Göransson's score remains a massive component of the film's identity. How did the cinematic soundtrack stack up against his previous television work? Well, it stacks up pretty much the same. You can't really compare this soundtrack to John Williams' soundtrack because it's a different type of film. John Williams dealt with the episodic, epic films. This is a crime syndicate sort of adventure story. That's what I would sort of roughly call it. Action fun film. And I think the soundtrack did meet its requirements, but it was just not impactful, is the best way to put it. So Michael again asks, what did you think of the comedic additions such as the multiple Anzellans and the street food vendor voiced by Martin Scorsese? Both great. I thought it was definitely Star Wars and definitely both fun. And I tell you what, with the Anzellans and their little ship, that is going to be something that you'll be actually buy in proper scale form from something like Hot Toys or something. They'll do this, I'll tell you. It depends on the success of the film, because to make that toy would be quite expensive, and to buy would be expensive, very expensive, especially the ship and stuff like that. But I thought the Anzellans and the Martin Scorsese it was great. Like it really worked. The next question coming from Michael from Werribee South again. Mando and Grogu movie. Did the episodic chapter-like pacing help the momentum, or did it make the movie feel disjointed? Well, it's not really an episode in the episodic saga. It is an inclusion in the Star Wars timeline, but the pacing was good. You know, it slowed down a little in about 3/4 in the film, but it was still very. The pacing was good, but the film did not feel disjointed. It had that Star Wars quality about it. The next question, do you agree with the reviewers who felt that Mando Din Djarin failed to evolve significantly as a character over the course of the 2 hours? Well, I don't know what you could really have him evolve to. The one element, and this is a spoiler that's not a spoiler, but I'm about to give you a really direct spoiler. It was a prediction of mine, but I think something that would have made his character elevate, and definitely Grogu, would have been the inclusion of finally discovering the species, the planet, the background of the green little guys, Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu. That would have been great to be in there, and that would have been great stakes, like a stakes in the actual film and a fight for. If they included that, it would have made it a powerful film. But going back to the question, Mando is, you can't really do much more or much less with him. It just has to hover. But, you know, obviously fighting the forces of evil in their warlords and crime syndicates and stuff like that. Next question, Michael from Werribee South again. Reviewers from outlets like Hollywood Reporter note that the film plays it incredibly safe. Was playing it safe the right move for Disney after a 7-year theatrical hiatus, or should they have taken bigger narrative swings? I think it's a 6-year hiatus, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's 6 or 7 years. It sort of is safe. It does have a lot of components that Star Wars fans would be aware of and know of and stuff like that. I didn't see the film as safe. I saw the film as a fun crime syndicate adventure defending the greater of all good. it's definitely not. It's definitely not a safe. It is safe, but you don't sense the safeness. You go into it and sort of enjoy it. Yeah. So taking bigger swings. I would have taken a big swing, but having that, as I've said, that Yoda species and planet have be to fruition. But it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Anyway, uh, next question from Michael, again from Woburn South. The film consciously chosen to keep Grogu completely non-verbal. Do you think giving him actual spoken dialogue would have helped or hurt his dynamic with Mando? Look, I understand for this film, but I think they do need to evolve Grogu in some sort of speaking or look or something like this to in the next film, if they're going to do a next film or a next season, they need to start doing something that sort of works but needs to evolve them because it doesn't hurt the film and it doesn't help the film, but it just that by the next thing it needs to sort of evolve. That's what I would say. Then we've got Computer Boy 2K with a comment or question. Let's have a look. I'm excited for the release. We are going to the Fandango fan event on Thursday 21st. I will cosplay as X-Wing pilot Carson Teva. I'm going to watch with an open mind and will be going multiple times to get all the details. Absolutely great idea to dress up as a X-Wing pilot. That will really fit into what's going on in the story. To see it multiple times for the details, I agree, and I'm actually doing that at least twice. And look, I was excited leading up to this, and I'm still excited for it. So it's definitely not a letdown. This film, it's definitely, it keeps you interested without a big, powerful boom, if you can understand. Thanks to Computer Boy 2K. The next question, Michael from Woburn South, once again. Grogu spends a notable amount of screen time leading a near wordless sequence in a swamp environment. Did this enhance his character depth, or did it cause the middle of the film to drag? No, it's fine. For this film, I can understand, but future, it needs to somehow evolve. Best way to answer that. So the next one, Michael from Werribee South, he's got so many questions, my goodness. Did the movie Mando Grogu successfully justify its theatrical release, or did it feel like a compressed fourth season of the streaming show? You could see it as a fourth season compression of the fourth season, but it does justify from the story it's been given and the look of it and the sound. It works. You do, I think, sort of need to know a bit of background about these two characters. If you don't know anything about this, you may get a little bit lost, but at the same time, the film works on its own merits. The next question, second last question from Michael. Did the film successfully balance the darker, grittier Western gangster influence with its lighter, child-friendly tones? Best way to answer that, I think yes. The final question today, is, did the inclusion of classic elements like the huts and the revamped Razor Quest feel like earned nostalgia or lazy fan service? No, it's relevant because in the time period of Star Wars, the huts were around. They would have, there was not just one hut, Jabba the Hutt. There's many. That was a species, so it works. And having the Razor Quest is sort of a bit of a, back to what the fans loved. But there is reason why this Razor Quest, and I'll say a Razor Quest, is brought back in the film. So there's good reason in its storytelling about that. And that's pretty much it. So anyway, that has been my review for Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie. It should be out now wherever you are in the world, or coming very soon. Subscribe to this channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week with the Star Wars news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. And until next time, my friends, keep rocking.